Okay, this is going to be a video on lines and how to graph them, find equations of them, etc. for your quiz and for your general review. So first of all, there are a couple of formulas that you may or may not be familiar with. We have slope-intercept form. M is your slope, B is your y-intercept. We also have the equation for the slope between 2 points, which is the change in y over the change in x. And then this last one, which you may not be familiar with, is point-slope form. And that's because we use it when we have a point and when we have slope. A few definitions or other important things to note is that vertical lines are of the form x equals a number, and they have undefined slope. And horizontal lines are of the form y equals a number, they have 0 slope. And when we talk about two lines that are parallel, they would have the same slope. So, for example, if I had a line with a slope of 1/2, and I wanted to find a line parallel to it, I would also use a slope of 1/2. I'll just call that m parallel. And if I have perpendicular lines, it's the opposite reciprocal. I'm going to abbreviate here. Slope. So if I have m equals 1/2, my perpendicular slope is m equals -2. Okay, so let's get into some problems. What are we trying to accomplish here? First of all, we should be able to graph a line. So let's say we had 1 plus 1/2 x. I would basically go to the y-intercept of 1, and then my slope is 1/2. So this means I'm going to go up 1 and over 2 to the right. Up 1 and over 2. So let's graph a different line on the same grid with a negative slope. Let's say I wanted y equals 2 minus 2x. So in this case, I would go up to 2 as my intercept. And now this is 2 over 1, so I'm going down to 1, 2, and over 1. I know this isn't the best drawing, but you can tell that these two lines should be perpendicular because the slopes are 1/2 and -2. So these are opposite reciprocal slopes. This is if you're given a line in slope-intercept form. We can also graph two lines in point-slope form. And when we do this, we're going to basically find the intercepts. I call it the cover-up method. So, if I cover up, or in math terms, let x go to 0, I get y equals 2. So I would put a dot on y equals 2. That's my y-intercept. And then if I cover up y, or I let y equal 0, I'll get x equals -4. So that's one way to graph this line. The other way would be to solve for y and put it in slope-intercept form. You could do that by adding 8 to both sides and adding 4y to both sides and then dividing everything by 4. And you'll see that I have a y-intercept of 2 and I have a slope of 1/2. So that's graphing lines. Then we get into finding the equation of a line. Let's say, for example, we wanted to find the equation of a line through -1, 2, and 4, 6. So to do that, I would first find the slope, because to find the equation of a line, you need a point and you need slope. Right now, I have a point, but I don't have a slope, so I'll find the slope. 6 minus 2 over 4 minus -1. This is 4 over 5. So now I can pick either one of these points that I like, and I have two options. Option 1 is to do point-slope form. So I would do y minus again, pick either of these points that you want. 6 equals 4/5 x minus 4. And I could actually stop there, unless I ask for slope-intercept form. To find slope-intercept form, we could say y equals mx plus b. So 6 equals 4/5 plus b. So this is 6 equals 16/5 plus b. So I have to subtract 16/5 from both sides. So I get 6 minus 16/5. And I need a common denominator. So this becomes 30 over 5 minus 16 over 5, which comes out to be 14/5. So my final answer would be y equals 4/5 x plus 14/5. So you need to find the slope if it's not given, and then use that slope at one of the points to find the y-intercept. If slope is given, for example, if I said find the equation of a line through to -1 with a slope of 1/4, that's a little less work for you, because you can now jump right into y equals mx plus b. Plug in your y and your m and your x and solve for b. So I get -1 equals 1/2 plus b, or b equals -3/2. So my final answer would be y equals 1/4 x minus 3/2. If you wanted to take the other route and use point slope form, you would say y minus -1 equals 1/4 x minus 2. So this would be y plus 1 equals 1/4 x minus 1/2, and then I subtract 1 from both sides. And I get the same answer no matter which way that I do it. Next, let's talk about parallel and perpendicular. Let's say I wanted to find a line through to -1 parallel to 3x minus 9y equals 4. So what am I missing here? I'm missing slope. I have a point. I need the slope. I'm going to get the slope from this line. So I have 3x minus 4 equals 9y, and then I divide everything by 9. So I get 1/3 x minus 4/9 equals y. I don't really care about the y-intercept here. What I'm mostly worried about is the slope. So the slope of this line is 1/3. This is the slope I use along with this point to find the equation of the line, because parallel lines have the same slope. So we'll do y equals mx plus b. -1 equals, I use this slope, 1/3 x plus b. So I get -1 equals 2/3 plus b, or b equals -5/3. So this will be, okay? I could ask the same question using the same line. I could just change the question to say through I'll use the same point, through to -1 perpendicular to 3x minus 9y equals 4. The process is exactly the same. I first need to find the slope of this line, which I did before above, m equals 1/3. But now I want it to be perpendicular. So instead of using 1/3, I'm going to use -3. And then I do the same thing. Y equals mx plus b. -1 equals -3x plus b. So I do -1, and then I add 6, so I get b equals 5. So that's parallel and perpendicular. You need a slope and you need a point. We didn't touch on vertical and horizontal lines yet, so let's touch on that for 1 second. if I want to find the equation of a line through 2, 4 with vertical, or I would say with undefined slope, that would be x equals 2, because an undefined slope has a line of the form x equals. I could say through 1, 3 with 0 slope, then that would be y equals a number, so y equals 3 in this case. And basically that's it for vertical and horizontal lines. The last thing that we need to make sure we understand is rate of change. And rate of change is just simple terminology would basically mean slope. For example, if I had time and I had height, and I said 1, 2, 3, 4, this is in seconds, maybe this is in feet, 10, 12, 8, and then 20. If I wanted to find the average rate of change, during 1 to 3 seconds. All that is basically saying is find the slope between 1 and 3. So I'll have the point 1, 10, and I'll have the point 3, 8, and I'll find the slope. 8 minus 10 over 3 minus 1, that's negative 2 over 2, so that's negative 1 feet per second. Notice that it's negative. That's because at 1 I was at 10, and at 3 I was at 8, so I went down. So my average rate of change went down. Now if I find the average rate of change between 1 to 4 seconds, I would expect that to be positive, because I would have 1, 10, and 4, 20. So I find the slope here, and I get 10/3 feet per second. That's an average rate of change. So it's a slope, and we don't really care what is happening in between. We just care what's happening at the points that we want. So for example, I could have this. This is the point maybe 0, 1, and this is the point 10, 1. Well, what's the average rate of change between 0 and 10? The answer is 0, because the slope between this point and this point is going to be 0. I would have 1 minus 1 over 10 minus 0. It will be 0. If I asked for the average rate of change between this point and this point, I would just find the slope between these 2 points. That's basically lines. And this is review, like I said, for your quiz coming up on next Monday or Tuesday.